Krishnamurti says to people, now look, there is nothing you can do to be liberated, because all your efforts in the direction of liberation are phony. They are based on your desire to boost and continue your ego, and that will never lead to liberation. All you can do, he says, is to be aware of yourself as you are, without judgment. See what is. But then, if you can do that, you have no further problem. But if you try to do it, you're in the same mess all over again. Gurdjieff played the same game in a different way. He said, the most important thing is self-remembering. Always at every moment be aware of what you're doing. Watch yourself constantly and never, never be absent-minded.
Yesterday, I did some reading on the human genome. Within each of us are 23 pairs of chromosomes, all composed of adelade, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. By all, I mean every living thing: flowers, trees, birds, bees, you and me. Our differences lie in the innumerable sequences of A, C, G, and T. All life is one. Bacteria is your cousin, so is grass, even a flea. We all know chimp and human DNA share 98% similarity.
The most brilliant chimp there ever was maybe can do a little bit of sign language. Well, our toddlers can do that. Toddlers. So, here's what concerns me deeply. Deeply. Everything that we are that distinguishes us from chimps emerges from that 1% difference in DNA. It has to, because that's the difference. The Hubble telescope, these that's in that 1%. Maybe everything that we are that is not the chimp is not as smart compared to the chimp as we tell ourselves it is.
With this in mind, how different can any of us humans actually be? White, black, brown, yellow mixed, we're all the same species. Take a quick second and really think about nature's subtlety. Can you remember who you were before the world told you who to be? It seems we simply like to feed our ego and tell ourselves we're unique. We've been raised to be admired and have an identity. Pair this with constant competition and you've got a recipe for enmity. Isn't it ironic we've lost touch despite all this technology? They keep us separate with things like race, religion, politics, and ideology. Can't you see these are just designed to keep your thoughts elementary? We saw just recently in Paris the consequences of zealotry. But that's just fresh in my mind. There's endless examples of bigotry. Some people think without religion there's no standard for morality. Do you really need a 3,000-year-old book to know geniality? Don't get me wrong, the scriptures have some good advice and genuine homilies, but when you teach people what to think, not how to think, there's no autonomy. We've been manipulated and conditioned to accept bourgeoisie. You and only you control your reality. They say you live and you learn. Well, I don't necessarily agree. Until you see the blueprint of the system, you'll always be a detainee. It starts with our education, or should I say domestication? Sit down and agree. I hate to break it to you, but it doesn't mean you're smart just because you have a degree. How many of you wanted to work in a cubicle when you were 3? Whatever happened to artisanship and being crafty? Is what I'm saying difficult to discern? Is it really that much of an anomaly? The majority of our problems are self-created. We are our own worst enemy. Very little actually matters. It's impossible to comprehend life's brevity. Scale all time into a year, your life will be less than a second. Relativity. 80 years amid 30 billion, we might as well be here accidentally. We're specks of dust amongst billions of galaxies. We're something like a tributary of the singularity. Haven't you ever felt that simply existing is an oddity? Shout out to Robert Pirsig. I hope this is quality. He helped me get used to the thinner air of uncertainty. and showed me that language and numbers were created by someone like you and me. They are simply tools to help us discern reality, but as soon as you label something, there lies a dichotomy. True essence transcends any vocabulary. All that's for certain is love amongst all this vanity. And natural laws, like gravity, and death. Not to mention, 99.9% of all species have gone extinct. If we don't change, we're next. This path isn't conducive to sustainability. We're destroying our environment in exchange for society, tearing down our forests like some sort of Black Friday spree. There's so much suffering, and yet no one's guilty. Is where we're headed really that hard to foresee? Let's use our abilities and respond. Responsibility. If you already forgot everything I said, just be nice. Show some empathy. And think for yourself. Don't let anyone tell you what you ought to believe. But for real, I'm just some kid from Oklahoma. Feel free to disagree.